It is the day y'all been waiting for. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, a lot of y'all have been waiting for this day. I have been so busy the last, it seems like couple years. Just a lot going on. You know what I mean? And I have been off and on working on my own little cookbook. And it's what I call the, the little church lady cookbooks, y'all. And I know y'all know them because y'all really love them. But, you know, I had my first cookbook. And I'm going to try hard. I know some of y'all missed out. And I sold my first cookbooks for several years. And then I just quit reprinting them. Y'all made my first cookbook go over so well. It was so, it just humbled me so much that y'all wanted my cookbook. But, you know, I told Danny one day, I said, I could write 100 cookbooks and still not have all the recipes that I have tried all my life and cooked. My, you know, my family before me and my mother-in-law. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But so what I do is just try to compile recipes and do them in you know, separate cookbooks. There's no way I can put them all in one cookbook. The thing would be huge. You couldn't even lift it up. So I just have to go, you know, as I can and compile these recipe books. And, you know, a lot of the recipes in there will be recipes that you've seen on my videos, and there'll be recipes that you haven't seen. But I guarantee you there's some of my favorite recipes. Some of them are vintage, some are old-fashioned, and some of them are even, you know, newer recipes that I have found just in the last couple of years that I really love. I'm going to reach back here. And a lot of y'all did get my first cookbook. It is Blessed Table, Whippoorwill Holler. And this was my first cookbook. And y'all just really blessed me with the orders that I got for these. I don't have any more of these right now. Now I'm going to check with the people that I print my books with, that I write my books with, and that I print up. I'm going to ask them to see about reprinting these. Now I need to know down the comment that if I can get, you know, several interested in the first cookbook, if I can get enough money saved up from the second cookbook, I will try my best, if they still have my my recipe still on file, and they should have. They're supposed to keep your recipes on file for about 10 years. I'm going to try to get, you know, maybe just a couple hundred printed. It just depends on, you know, the overwhelming response of wanting the first cookbook. Now, this is my first one, Blessed Table. This is where a lot of my favorite dishes are in, and I shared them with you. This is my second cookbook, y'all. This is so cute, y'all. It is, and you see the title, It's Just That Easy with Whippoorwill Holler. Because, you know, I say that all the time. Because, you know, there's a lot of people that, you know, they're intimidated by cooking or think something's so hard. And I just tell you it's not. It's just that easy. So that's what I called this cookbook. Dedicated to all of y'all. Because that's just something that I tell y'all all the time. And it's got all kinds. Y'all know how much I love vintage. Especially, I mean, the one y'all that have seen my kitchen, seen me cook, and use all my vintage utensils and stuff, you know how much I love it. So when I compiled this cookbook, and this is nothing fancy, y'all, but it is full of over 100 recipes. Not just your regular recipes of desserts and main dishes and salads and stuff, but I also put in some canning recipes, cooking for two, some of my dry mix recipes, and just different stuff like that. A little bit of this and a little bit of that, but there's over 100 recipes in here. And even in this cookbook, there are some pages in the back that even tell you the pantry basics of how to stock a well-stocked pantry. And let's see, you also have a page with telling you the different spices and herbs and stuff, and just very things that you just may not know, but you can go back to this book, and even in my first book, it's got the same thing. Different portion sizes, different things you can use in place of things that maybe you don't have. Cooking timetable, but how to buy and pick fresh, how to know your fresh vegetables when you're buying them, at the store or something. I mean, it's just on and on and on about different things that you might need to know. Measurements, conversions, substitutions, little things like that I think that are come in handy a lot. But this is my sweet new little cookbook that is in print. I have it in my hand now, and I'm really proud of it. Is it a huge book with beautiful photos in it? No, it's not. This is a cookbook that Miss Lori could afford to do, and because I'm taking care of this cookbook myself, I typed it up, wrote it myself. I'm sure there's probably a few mistakes in there, but I did proofread it, but that don't mean nothing. But, I just leave out the middleman, and I do it myself, and I do it to where I can afford to do it. And this is the way I can afford to do it. Now, I'm going to show y'all. I just love these different dividers. Is that not Miss Lori? I mean, that's Miss Lori if you ever seen it. And the color red, y'all know it's my favorite color. And just every little thing in this book, the dividers were just, I just loved them. I just love those photos. And there's several in there for each category. But I do love it. So, like I said, I'm out of my first cookbook. So please don't send me money for the first one. I don't have it. But I am going to be checking on getting some reprints. And that's going to take a while, y'all, because it does take a while to get all this stuff together, to get it in print and get it back shipped to you. It takes a good while. But this is one of my favorite little cookbooks too. I just love the pages in them, and this has got some of my favorite recipes in here. Some of my old-fashioned, handed-down, family-to-family recipes, and some of the primitive pictures that's in it. I just love it. That's the divider pictures. But so, don't send money for this one till Miss Lori can make sure and get the first one reprinted. Like I said, it's going to take me a little while because I need to, when I get enough money from this cookbook, I'll try to order some more of these. But I need to get kind of an idea of how many would want the first one, for sure. And my first one went over so well. Like I said, it just humbled me to no end. Because, like I said, it's not some fancy cookbook that people come out and took photographs and all that stuff. It's just your little church lady cookbook. But it has a lot of good recipes in it. And they come from my heart, and they come from my kitchen. So, they're here. I'm going to put up here, so y'all be looking for how to make out, to send me either a check or money order. I don't do PayPal. I don't do any of that fancy stuff, y'all. I didn't do it with my first cookbook. And, I didn't really have much trouble at all with, there was a few people there was a cookbook that got lost here and there, and I made it up to them, but everything went pretty smooth. Now, this will be my address to send the check or money order to, and make the check or money order out to Lori Brown, and then my address, P.O. Box 1183, Imboden, Arkansas 72434, and that's where you'll send it to. Don't put whippoorwill holler on the check or money order, because the bank will not, they won't let me touch it because it has to be under my name. So this is what you'll put on the check or money order. Be careful if you send cash. I know I got a lot of cash too. People that want to send cash, just be careful. I didn't have no issues with it, but I know a lot of people don't like to do that. I just don't do PayPal and stuff like that, y'all. Miss Lori don't even have a debit card. So that's just where I stand on that. I'm very old in my ways, and I don't trust stuff. I guess that's just how I'm going to put it. I do not trust stuff. I think people are way too much in my business anyways. So anyways, that's the easiest way for me to do it. Now I want to say this. I do have help with my cookbooks, because Miss Lori can't do all this when I'm shipping these out. The one thing I am going to do, though, is I'm going to sign each cookbook. It will have my signature in there. And, but I want y'all to know that it could take 4 to 6 weeks to get your cookbook. Because if it goes over like my last one, I got so many orders so fast that, bless her heart, my mail lady, it was all she could do to keep up with it. So she's got to the point she just had to put it all in a big basket to me, and I'd go pick it up. So this is the way it goes. As I get them through the mail, that's how I send the orders out. I don't, go down the line and put some in front of the other. As I get them in the mail, that's how they go out. But if there's a week or so that I get a lot, hundreds of orders, it's going to take me and my helper to, get them out and get them shipped out. So it could take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. I'm hoping it don't take that long, but you never know. So that's why I want to tell y'all that. And if, hopefully there won't be anything, lost in the mail. There's a lot of that goes on now. And mail's been pretty slow. And so it just takes time. It just takes time for the whole process. So I just want y'all to know that I have my book now. The price, I'm going to put up here too. Things have went up, and we all know that. The price will include shipping, but the price of everything has gone up, so it costs more to do anything anymore, y'all. It don't matter. So my book, including shipping, is going to be $28. That's including shipping and everything, so it's just $28 across the board. Check or money order. So I know a lot of y'all like to pay through PayPal and some other different ones, but Miss Lori just don't do that, and I'm sorry. But it's really, and if you don't use checks, money orders are easy to get. So just make sure you make it out to Lori Brown. And I think we're all pretty excited about this, because this won't be my last cookbook. As time goes on, I'll be writing another one. And I hope just to have series after series after series. In this cookbook, like I said, is also some cooking for two recipes. Not as many as I've got. But with each cookbook, I will be putting more and more in there. Now, I know people are wanting me to do just a cookbook, cooking for two. I will have to get a lot of response on that to put that much time into a cooking for two cookbook, to make sure that, the time that it takes me to do it, that, it would be well worth it for me and for y'all. So, leave that in the comment too, and I can get it, an idea if that would be a good route to do a cooking for two. And I do love those recipes, and so many of y'all do too. But my two cookbooks that I've got now, this is the one I've got in print right now. My first cookbook I don't have in print. I know I'm repeating myself, but I want y'all to understand that. But don't think that, I'm going to check in. I'm going to make sure they still have my, my book, my first book on file. I've been trying to get a hold of them, but I have been so busy that we're not getting back and forth with each other yet. But I'm going to try this week. So if I can, if they have it, I'm going to try to get some more ordered. But I need to know from y'all, give me an idea of how many might be wanting my first cookbook, so I can see if I can get it reprinted pretty, see about getting that done. These things, when you're doing cookbooks, it costs so much money. It's not. And you've got a lot of money invested in it. And this is not some fancy cookbook. So them really fancy cookbooks, they cost just a lot of money. But, and shipping, has gone up. So like I said, the $28 is for shipping too. That's included. So it's just $28 across the board. But, I'm really proud of my little cookbooks, and, you can get a lot of recipes in these books, and this one's just got a montage of different things, not just, my simple recipes, but it's also got some canning, and it's got some, like I said, my dry mixes, things like homemade marshmallows. I mean, just things like that, homemade barbecue sauce, list goes on and on. But I don't want to stop here either. I want to keep going with the whole series of my cookbooks. So if this one goes over as good as my first one did, it's going to be really exciting. I do love this one. I love the vintage look. Throughout the book, you'll see different, like I said, the divider pages and stuff will have some of the cutest little vintage pictures in it. And it just reminds me of me. So anyways, I've been going on and on. So up here, address, name, what you put on the check or money order, and this is the book you'll be getting. And I'll try hard to maybe get a reprint of my first cookbook. Money's hard to make anymore, y'all, so it makes it harder to spend too. But we do the best we can. And my first cookbook was such a big success. My daughters helped me with it, and they'll be helping me now with this second one. And let me tell you something, it keeps you really busy. But it's a good busy, and we love it. So we want to thank y'all from the bottom of our hearts that you're even interested in them. And time goes on, I just keep sharing recipes and making more cookbooks. There's so many recipes that I just love to share with y'all and talk about, but, so many handed down recipes, and even though I had a really good, my mother-in-law was a really big influence on my cooking. My grandmother was too. My sister-in-laws, a couple aunts that maybe I grew up around. Without sounding rude or anything, the woman that raised me till I was 13 years old was not a cook. So I didn't really have that kind of upbringing as a little girl. But when I would come up here to Arkansas to stay with my grandmother, at that point she lived in this old farmhouse till the day she passed away. And at 4 years old, I'd come up here to Arkansas and stayed summers with my grandparents, and it was the place that I always wanted to be, and that's where I've been, since I left Texas when I was 13 years old and moved up here to the hills of Arkansas. This is where I've been since I was 13. So my roots are in Texas, but my heart's here. Well, my heart's in Texas too. I've got family in Texas, and I really miss them. I miss that bond between my family, but they know I love them, and I can feel their love come up here to Arkansas. But so I had them influence, even if I didn't have them in my younger age. As I got married, it just kept evolving. And I can tell you, I just learned it myself too. And this might be funny, y'all, and y'all might have done the same thing. But in my younger married years, we just didn't have much. Danny worked so hard, even as a young husband. He had 3 or 4 jobs every day. you know, and we was lucky to even run into each other sometimes because he was working so hard. And so what I'm trying to say is, you know, we didn't have a lot of money, so we ate off the land. We ate what he hunted and stuff like that. I would take $40 a week, and I would buy gas to put in my little car and buy groceries with that. Can you imagine that? And, you know, I think back on that, and we didn't, I would only buy what I needed. I'd make me a little menu out. Of course, it's just me and him. So, and his mama would, and grandmother would give me stuff out of the garden and stuff like that. So we always had plenty, but we didn't have any money. And as we started having children, we still we still didn't have a lot of money, but we learned to adapt. And I taught myself. I'm self-taught, but I'm trying to get to the point of once we got to the point where we could get satellite, because, you know, I only grew up with having maybe 3 or 4 channels. Once we got satellite and I could get the Food Network, it was a game changer for me, because I was writing them recipes. I was watching all kinds of people cook, and I'd go, you can ask my children, I'd go straight into that kitchen, and if I didn't have the ingredient, I would substitute it with something else, and I would make this recipe up and this menu, and it was always good. So as this would go on, and I'm just self-teaching myself, you know, looking at all these recipes, you know, my love for cooking just got more and more, and that's where I spent most of my time. We didn't eat out. My children constantly, 3 meals a day, if they weren't in school, were at the house. We lived out in the country. So, you know, going to the grocery store and running and getting something just wasn't feasible. I bought groceries every 2 weeks, and there were sometimes I bought once a month. Now, that was hard, but every 2 weeks we'd go into town and I would get necessities. Now, back then, also, I would make menus. I had 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls, and now I've got 7 grandchildren. So, you know, the house is getting bigger. And plus, I have 2 daughter-in-laws and 2 son-in-laws. So, you know, the house gets fuller and fuller. But with 2 growing boys and 2 daughters, I could still sit down, and I knew each day, you know, what I needed for a breakfast and maybe their lunches, fruits, you know. If we didn't have vegetables out of the garden during summer, maybe it's the wintertime, I'd write down the vegetables that we would need. Say there was a day we were going to have salad, I'd make sure that I had plenty of salad stuff. I didn't buy a whole lot. I just bought what I needed to make a decent salad. Any kind of vegetable, fresh or frozen or canned, whatever. And I'd have it wrote down. You know, Monday we're having this for supper. Go to my pantry, see what I've got in my pantry for this. If it's not there, then I would write it on my grocery list. Okay, I need this and this. Tuesday, breakfast, lunch, supper. Breakfast and lunch wasn't hard, y'all, because I could whip, as long as I got flour and eggs and milk, I could whip up pancakes, waffles, biscuits, or whatever, and make gravy. You know what I'm saying. But in lunch, you know, that's pretty easy. But when you get down to the main dish, you got to really start planning. My children ate a lot of wild game. That's what they grew up, and they don't eat it as much now. Now, a couple of them do, but they grew up on fried squirrel, rabbit, especially deer meat, and that was just part of our pantry and part of our menu. That's just what was on it most of the time. We didn't have steak. I mean, hamburger meat back then was probably 89 cents a pound, and I didn't really buy the good stuff because it really wasn't available. And even though, now when we started back in the cattle business, we did butcher, you know, a few cows to put in the freezer, of course, and if we raised a hog or something. But that, you know, we'd eat through that, so we'd be gone. So you'd always have to run to the store again to refill the freezer. But I didn't go and just stock up on meat. I couldn't afford it. So if Monday we were having stew and I didn't have any meat at that point to fall back on, I knew I had to get 2 pounds of stew meat. Back then it really wasn't. You could get a chuck roast pretty cheap and cut it up and make stew meat. So I'd get one small chuck roast. Tuesday, the kids loved homemade pizza. They loved homemade pizza. We didn't eat out, so they didn't know what Pizza Hut and Pizza Inn was for years. So I can make the crust, of course, but we needed mozzarella cheese. I didn't just have it on hand. Pepperonis, that's not something I kept. And the kids loved pepperoni pizza, so, I wanted to do something special for them, so I would buy some pepperoni. Okay, what are you going to eat with that pizza? Well, they loved eating garlic bread or something like that. And a lot of times I'd have homemade bread. And a lot of times I didn't. But you know what I did? I'd have frozen hot dog buns, hamburger buns in the freezer. And I'd get them out, and I would make garlic bread out of them frozen buns. And to this day, Danny will tell you, that's his favorite garlic bread, is made out of leftover hot dog buns. He loves it. Just toasted in the oven with a little bit of garlic and butter on it. He loves it. So, and maybe a salad, and maybe for a fruit or something to go with it. So there's Tuesday's supper. Wednesday, I already know that maybe I've got a pork roast or pork chops in the freezer from that, maybe the hog that we killed. So I didn't have to buy for that night. But maybe there's one little thing that I didn't have. Maybe I was out of fresh potatoes and I needed a bag. A 10-pound bag of potatoes back then was $1. So I'd buy 10 pounds of potatoes, knowing that we'd probably have either fried potatoes, mashed potatoes, whatever. So that was easy peasy right there. Then you get to Thursday, and, I'm just saying, list goes on and on. But I had to make menus and not just walk into a store and just start knowing in my mind, well, I don't know if I need that, but I might need it. And by the time you get to checkout, you're way over your budget. So then I had to do it. Now, things are different now. It's just me and Danny. The years that I have stocked my pantry and canned and put up, now it's to the point that we've got plenty. I don't need to can as much this year to put in the pantry because we need to eat through what we have. And I know people are like, well, you got to get it put back for 30 years from now. No, I don't. I quit doing that. I need to eat what I've got and be very, just be very blessed by it. If things got bad, I have got 200 pounds of dry beans. I have got dried potatoes, dehydrated potatoes, in a 5-gallon bucket that is a sealed bucket that is for hard times. I have got, I can't tell you how many pounds of popcorn for making cornmeal. I've got wheat berries coming out my ears that I'll never use them up. What I'm telling you this for is because if hard times got here, really, I've got the necessities and that's all I need. It got to the point that I couldn't even get around in my pantry because I had so much in there and we were not getting it ate up. Even when I was giving it to the kids and using it when they come here and eat, it still wasn't getting used up. So I had to put the brakes on, and that's what we're doing now. We're eating through the pantry. We're eating through the freezers. We're eating fresh things out of the garden. And that's what we're doing now. It saves me money. I'm not going to the store. Y'all never see me do a grocery haul because I don't do big grocery hauls. I might have to go and get some milk or butter, if I'm not making homemade butter or, homemade bread, I may have to grab a loaf. But most of the time, you know, a lot of the times there's going to be homemade bread sitting here, and that's Mr. Brown's favorite. But, you know, there's times that sometimes you're like, oh my goodness, I forgot to make bread and I've got to have some bread. So you pick up a loaf and you go on with life. But there's just no reason to have a grocery store in my little cabin. I've got plenty to eat, and the good Lord's going to take care of me. I know He is. So I quit that worrying, thinking that, you know, I've got to feed the whole world. So I'm just saying I had to put brakes on it. Now it's time to eat through it, bring everything up front, and go through it and eat it. I'm not saying I'm not canning anything. This winter is when I'll start canning dry beans and doing stuff like that. That's only for necessities. I'm retired now. If I need a pot of beans, I can come in here now and cook me a pot of beans. If I know I'm going to be making chili within a couple of days, I can come in here and, you know, cook me up some black beans and pinto beans, stuff that I like in my chilies and my taco soups and stuff. Now, I do love having those things on the shelf, though. I like them being accessible. So I will be canning some this winter. I'm not going to do it this summer. It's too hot in the house. That's when I start canning my beans and stuff. So y'all see me using my last jar of canned, I'm pretty sure it was canned turkey and not my canned chicken. So they're all gone. I've used them up. So this winter it's going to be time to be canning up some chicken, especially when I find chicken or turkey or something on sale, which I do around Thanksgiving. Start putting a couple in the freezer, and then I can it all up at once. And that's why I love canning, I guess, so much in the winter time. It's just a lot easier, and you're not having to spend most of your time in the garden. And then, I mean, it's a lot of work, y'all. Y'all know it. Y'all know the work in the garden. It takes up so much time. But that's just like my little freezers here inside the cabin. My main freezers are in the shop. But in here, I'm going to have to start. He said, there is so much in these little freezers. I said, I know. I said, but we're eating out of the little freezers because I've got fresh, you know, I put up vegetables in there. There's, you know, my okra, my squash, my peas, stuff like that. So we're eating out there too. So I don't need to go to the grocery store and spend money that I don't need to be spending because I've got the food here. Now, doing videos, there's going to be recipes that maybe, especially dessert recipes, a lot of times there's like one little item that I don't have for that. And, you know, if I'm in town or something, I wrote it down and I'll take my list. I'm like, okay, I've got to get some heavy cream, you know, or I need to get some more chocolate chips or, you know, stuff like that. I mean, that's just here nor there. But, so I know a lot of y'all love to see grocery hauls, but you're just not going to see them with Miss Lori because, you know, I just eat out of my pantry. And that's, when you get it built up that much over the years, you just got so much. So you got to eat it. That's for sure. But anyways, I'm excited about my little cookbook being here. I say it's little. There's over 100 recipes in here. And it's so cute. Y'all, my favorite color is red. I can just tell y'all it is. And so just follow this address here. And, you know, I'm sorry that I don't use PayPal or nothing like that, but it's just not something that's in my life right now. Probably won't ever be. So, but anyways, Danny has went to another fishing tournament, and I want to tell y'all, the last 2 days have been absolutely wonderful. The weather has just been, I don't know, and it's almost like it just brings you back to life, because the last month, me and Danny have really been struggling, y'all. And I don't know if it's because we are getting older or, you know, I just don't know. But the heat has been so intense and the humidity so thick. First, early in the morning, when you think, I'm going to go out to the garden, I'm going to get stuff done outside, you open that door and it just hits you in the face and you can't hardly breathe. The humidity, really, when it's that thick, is not good for you to breathe. And, you know, we couldn't even enjoy sitting out on the porch and drinking our coffee, and we just loved doing that in the morning. So we'd sit out here in the sunroom and drink our coffee. My garden, I'm still getting tomatoes, okra, and I have, let's see, I have picked 6 cantaloupes, I believe, and I've got 2 more out there, but, you know, I don't know. We're going to see how good they're going to do, but my cantaloupe's done really well, and I only planted just a couple plants, and they turned out really sweet, so we have been enjoying them cantaloupes. I didn't plant any watermelon or nothing like that. So my green beans have been done for a while, and I put some of them up in the freezer. I like frozen green beans, y'all, but I like canned green beans. But this is the thing. I've got canned green beans in the pantry right now that we've got to get ate. So we're eating through them. Let's see. I'm fixing to, what am I thinking about? My tomatillos are still putting off. I had to replant my yellow squash. And do y'all know that my yellow squash does better when I plant it late and it comes off in the fall than it does in the summer here? I don't know why. But I'm telling you right now, the ones that I had, we had so much rain. Y'all remember when we was getting so much rain and tornadoes and storm after storm. Of course, my garden looks so lush and beautiful, and but it was too much rain for the squash. And I am getting a few zucchini. I don't need a lot of zucchini because I've got some in the freezer still from last year, but we are getting some fresh zucchini. Let's see. There's just, right now, I've got stuff that's burned up because we went from too much rain, summer hit, no rain, 98 to 100 degrees weather every day beating down that garden. And it doesn't matter how many times you go out there and water it, it's not like a good rain. And a lot of my stuff just burned up. And it's so, you know, you go out there and you're almost in tears. You're like, oh man, I worked so hard, you know, to get y'all here. But I feel blessed that we got what we did out of the garden. And I've still got squash that's trying to come on for the fall. So don't think that your garden is over with. My 3 sisters' garden did not do good at all. I won't be doing that again. Not that it's a bad idea, it's not, but it didn't do good in the raised garden, in the raised bed. You need to do it out in the main garden if you're going to do it. So we didn't raise any corn this year, which is okay. We don't really have a good place to grow corn like we used to. I used to put up so much corn, but we do have, thank goodness for farmers markets and your neighbor down the road that will give you corn. So anyways, and I do have corn put up from last year and the year before, so we're not without corn. And that's really one of the main reasons too that I wasn't worried about, you know, planting a bunch of corn, because I had so much put up. My okra, I can't tell y'all, my okra's doing so good, and I thank my neighbor again for just being so nice and giving us them wonderful okra seeds, because they've done wonderful. I want to take this time right now before I forget, because I'm just jabbing on. I want to wish a beautiful subscriber a happy birthday. So, and if Mr. Brown was here, he would wish you a happy birthday too. But he's fishing. He's fishing a tournament. So Dave, I want to wish you from the bottom of my heart, here from Whippoorwill Holler, I want to wish you a beautiful birthday. And I want to thank you for showing us those gnomes. I know you love gnomes, and thank you for showing me your gnome friend. But happy birthday, Dave. We love you. Anybody else that's had a birthday lately, happy birthday. So I'm just rambling on, I guess because maybe I'm here by myself and I just need to talk. And I guess because I'm so excited about my cookbook being here. But, you know, we can think back in our younger mama years, and, you know, me and Danny were raised by farmers. We were farmers ourselves. A little bit of information that, and sometimes I wish Danny would just sit down and just talk to y'all and tell y'all the many jobs and things that we did do in our married life. We used to combine fescue seed. We had a huge combine and an old dump truck, and we would go from farm to farm, and we would combine tons and tons and tons of fescue seed, and then we would take it to market. Now, my kids were little, and during this time, I was also running the general store at Dalton that now is the Mennonite store at Dalton that some of y'all have went to. And I want to thank y'all for going into that store and being so nice to our friend Irving. He's really one of a kind. He's an elderly Mennonite man. Him and his daughter run the store. And what makes me sad is they're having to sell and to move to, I think, Kentucky with some of his other family. Irving's getting older, and he's getting, you know, not too good a health. So he's going to have to sell out, and it makes me sad, but I know he has to do it. But anytime I go in the store, and, you know, when I go up to that store, it's so bittersweet because my family before me ran that old store that's been there over 100 years, and then me and Danny ran it for about 3.5 years. So we all have a little bit of ties in it, and now the Mennonite family has it. But so y'all that have been to Dalton, to the Mennonite store, thank you, and thank you for being so nice to them too. I know he talks about everybody that has stopped by in there, and he'll say, "Do you know Lori Brown?" You know, Whippoorwill Holler, and or they'll ask him, and he just gets so excited. So it's always been a neat thing for him. So I'm glad he enjoys that. He enjoys the, you know, the fact that anybody would just, you know, come and see him and see the store. So anyways, that's fun. But I guess I need to get off here. I need to go put the chickens up, get the eggs. It's almost, yeah, they should be to roast now. I done put Hank up. You know, it's been so hot, but the last couple of days it's been, I think today was 84, and we had a good breeze. And I mean, the day was, I got up this morning, turned the air completely off, opened up the doors, made my coffee, and we went out and sat on that front porch and drank some coffee. And it was so nice. I mean, it just, and then the morning before was the same way. And I know it's not going to last very long because the hot weather's fixing to come back, but we enjoyed it while we can. But Hank has really, you know, it's been hot on him too, so we have to be very careful with him, make sure he stays cool and taken care of. So he's not out running around amok like he usually does because it's just too hot and it's hard on him. So we keep him fresh water and keep him in a cool place, and so he's good. I know some of y'all been asking about him. I'm fixing to do, I've been asked about doing a countertop cleaner disinfectant with my lemon balm. So that's probably going to be one of my next videos, so y'all be watching for that. I had done harvested my lemon balm, so now it's trying to grow, you know, in fact, some of it's going to seed. I want some of it to go to seed, but I will be doing that. And my burdock plant out there is doing, you know, pretty good. Y'all, some of y'all seen that I had that in my garden and wanted some more information on that. So I might try to get that in there, but there's just a lot going on. So besides recipes and stuff like that, I've got a couple of old videos that I have pulled out of the archive. I went down the rabbit hole, and I have realized that I've lost quite a few of my old videos in my archive, but I did find some. And I wanted to share at the end of this video, I know it's already getting long, y'all, but this is one of our one of our first videos, Mr. Brown, and he done such a good job. And you'll see that my kitchen, I'm in my old kitchen before my son-in-law come in and built my new cabinets and put my new sink in. We're still in the old kitchen, so it's fun seeing that too. But that's going to be at the end of our video, so if you want to stick around, watch that, because he's going to show y'all how we used to grind our berries, our corn, and stuff like that to make cornmeal, or our wheat berries to make flour. And if I'm thinking right, yeah, this is the one where he's grinding berries for us to make cream of wheat, which porridge or whatever you want to call it. And we just love it. We love fresh milled berries, wheat berries, to make what some people call cream of wheat and some people call porridge. It's so good for you, and it just tastes so good. We love it. So y'all stick around and watch that a little bit. And sorry I took up so much of your time, but I wanted to tell y'all, because y'all been waiting for the new cookbook. And I know I've been on here just jibber-jabbering, but like I said, I'm here alone and with him fishing, and I just need somebody to talk to. So anyways, y'all just remember the information, write it down, screenshot it, whatever you have to do. And we'll just make it that easy on you. Check or money order, and we'll get it to you as fast as we can. As the orders come in, that's how we set them out. And if we get 100 orders in a day, it's going to take us most of the week to get that 100 orders out. So you understand where I'm going with this. So we're the middleman. We skipped the middleman, so now we're the middleman. We're doing all the hard work too. So anyways, we appreciate y'all, and we love y'all so much. So y'all enjoy this last little video that I'm putting at the end. It's a little bit of a hoot too, because Mr. Brown, you know, when I first tried to get him to even doing videos with me, he was a little bit nervous, but as time went on, it's just like everyday stuff. It just comes to him. He just, you know, he likes doing it when he's here. But we have to understand that, you know, he's a busy man too. Not only is he busy, but, you know, he's taking care of his mama, and now it's, you know, he's in these fishing tournaments, and that's something that I will never take away from him, is stuff like that he enjoys. And you just can't do that. So I always make sure that, you know, he's out there fishing and doing what he enjoys. So anyways, y'all enjoy these next little clips. We'll see y'all in a few days. And remember how much we love and appreciate y'all. And remember how much God loves you. He loves all of us so much. And happy birthday, Dave. We'll see y'all in a few days. Bye-bye for now. Okay, we've had people ask us about how we grind our wheat berries. And a lot of times I just grind it in my little coffee grinder, spice grinder. That's what I usually use it for. But we've got this hand grinder. I've been wanting one for a long, long time. And this was a gift from one of my subscribers. And it's a really neat one too. But
it works good.
It does work good. And it'll do a cut pretty quick, won't it?
Yeah, it's faster than your little electric grinder. Basically what we do is this here adjusts the tension on your grinder, and I'll run it through. This has been run a couple of times. Right now it's getting really close, but I run it through. If you try to do it too much at one time, it's harder to crank. So you run it through, then tighten it down and re-crank it. Tighten it up. Kind of tell by the feel. You want some resistance. You just don't want too much resistance. Well, it gets this a little bit harder as it starts packing in. you just take and run it through again. If you wanted to, you could actually.
Well, we would run it.
If you're gonna make meal, you'd run it probably 3 times, but.
And we make cereal, like cream of wheat,
Yep.
for our breakfast. And that's what we had this morning, and we'll show y'all that process.
Then you would just tighten it down and run it again.
Thing's loud, isn't it?
Yeah, but it does a good job.
Yeah, it does. If we ran it through one more time, it'd be good for cream of wheat porridge.
Now that there's actually pretty fine, really.
And there's a good 2 cups right there.
I could eat it, cook just like that right there, easy.
Mm-hmm. So anyways, we really enjoy this grinder.
You ain't got electricity, we can grind, can't we?
Yeah. What we're using right now, show them the wheat berries. This is a hard white wheat. And you can tell by the color, it's kind of a beige color. If it was a hard red wheat, it'd have kind of a red hue to it. So that's a hard
It's not
white.
your regular field wheat either. It's
your hard red wheat berries are going to have more protein in them. Of course, your hard white berries have a moderate amount of protein in it, but your red has a higher protein content. And both are good for making bread. So after we grind our wheat berries to the consistency that we like, which is it's pretty fine, I use a heavy pot, and I'm going to start out with about 4 cups of water and a cup of my ground up wheat berries. And I'll just bring it up to a boil, then I'll turn it on low, and I'll simmer it usually about 30 to 45 minutes. Put your little honey, brown sugar, regular sugar, and you got a good breakfast. A good hot breakfast to get your morning going.